a pro. I'm doing it.
Mokro on the beat.
My people, see my baby, my yes, I can see my people in rivers. I also see
welcome viewers to Biafra Watchdog, coming to you from Biafra Television. Today, as usual, we are going into a panel discussion on a very topical issue which everyone is really waiting to hear from the Biafra Watchdog, and that is the Nigerian judiciary mismanagement of Nnamdi Kanu'S case part 2. Today, our panel is going to delve deeper into the happenings around the judicial process in Nigeria as it affects Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of indigenous people of Biafra and the director of Radio Biafra and Biafra Television. Keep tab with us as we continue with this program. In our first program of this talk on the judiciary mismanagement of Nnamdi Kanu'S case, we were able to let the world know how the Nigerian judiciary, under the command of President Muhammadu Buhari, the tyrant ruler of Nigeria, has been turning the course of justice upside down. We reminded the world how Justice John Soho ruled in his earlier judgment that no masquerade is going to testify in the case of Nnamdi Kanu, and turned round and varied his own judgment by saying that masquerades will be allowed to testify in the case of Nnamdi Kanu, which led the defense counsels of Nnamdi Kanu, led by San Moma and Barrister Ifeanyi Ejiofor, to proceed to the Court of Appeal to make Justice Soho to realize that he cannot pass a judgment and turn around to vary his own judgment. That case came up on the 5th of May 2016 under Justice Moore Asiemo Ademain, who is the judge, the judge at the Court of Appeal, Abuja. The prosecution and the defense made their cases on the 5th of May at the Appeal Court, and the judge reserved judgment on the appeal to a later date. And Barrister Ifeanyi Ejiofor made Biafra writers and Biafra television crew who were at Abuja to know that the Appeal Court will communicate to them in less than 2 or 3 weeks' time on the date of judgment. Eventually, we gathered from our defense counsel, Barrister Ifeanyi Ejiofor, that he got a message from the Appeal Court very late on the 24th night that judgment on the appeal, which they presented on the 5th of May, is going to take place on the morning of 25th, which is Wednesday. So they hurriedly came to the Appeal Court, only to hear Justice Abdul Aboki, who is presiding on the day of the judgment, to throw away the appeal and dismiss the appeal of the counsels of Nnamdi Kanu and 2 other accused persons. So the panel here today is going to look at these problems that have been besieging the struggle of the leader of indigenous people of Biafra at Nigerian judicial system and see if actually Nnamdi Kanu and the two other accused persons are going to be able to have justice or not. So today, as usual, I would like to introduce my members of the panel. From my extreme left, I have...
Welcome viewers. I am Samuel Nnamdi. Stay tuned.
Thank you very much, Mr. Samuel Nnamdi. You are welcome to this program. It's wonderful having you once again.
Thank you.
And then followed by...
I am Onyebuchi Osorobi. Stay tuned watching.
Thank you, Mr. Osorobi. You are welcome to today's program. And from my immediate right...
Hello viewers at home, Biafrans and friends of Biafrans, lovers of freedom all over the world. I am Carlo Awo Ogurawa. I'm from Akano Ohofia in Biafra land. Stay tuned and listen to our program. Thank you.
You are welcome, Mr. Kanu. You are very much welcome, Mr. Carlo. You are Carlo. We have Nnamdi Kanu,
yes.
And you are Carlo Awo.
Yes.
You are welcome to this program. And then, last but not the least,
yes, I am Amadeba Siloba. We are coming to you live from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Stay tuned.
thank you, Mr. Oba. You are welcome to this program today. And this is Ikechukwu Morisa presiding and moderating in today's program. You are all welcome. So we are going to look at this program properly right now, and I'm going to throw this directly to my immediate right participant here, Abu, to actually tell the world, since it is obvious that the appeal court has upheld the judgment of the lower court, the magistrate court, by dismissing the case of the appeal case of Nnamdi Kanu. Do you think that it is right for us to proceed to Supreme Court?
From my own perspective of what I understand about the whole situation is this. Following the system in Nigeria, Nigerian judicial system, which has a hierarchical arrangement of following precedents, from what is happening, I suggest that the indigenous people of Biafra should proceed to the Supreme Court. Because if the Nigerian judicial system has been taken over by the executive arm of government, which is against the constitution of the contraption called the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I believe the indigenous people of Biafra should proceed to the Supreme Court in order to go there so that the Supreme Court will also be shamed. They will be exposed if they are working for the executive. Because if the indigenous people of Biafra proceed to the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court confirm the ruling of the Court of Appeal, which is indirectly confirming the ruling of the Federal High Court by allowing masquerade to appear in the court. That is to say, if the indigenous people of Biafra go to the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court uphold this view, that is to say, they will be setting a new precedent for the judicial system of Nigeria. That is to say, if they uphold this view, it means in other situations, masquerades will be constitutionally allowed.
We come to that. We come to that. We will be able to know if we are going to set a precedent with Nnamdi Kanu'S case or not. But I have got your view. Your view is that the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, and his defense counsels should proceed to the Supreme Court.
Yes.
Okay, I come to you from my immediate left, Mr. Osorobi. How do you look at IPOB going to the Supreme Court?
Honestly, we know that that country called Nigeria has been influenced by the executive arm of the government. I want the world to know that in a country that is practicing democracy, we have three arms of the government. We have the legislators, we have the executive, and we have the judiciary. Now, these three arms of the government are meant to be independent. The legislature makes the law, the executive works on the law, and the judiciary watches over the law if the executive are using the law the way it is being made and the way it is being done or said to be used by the executive arm of the government. Now, the reverse is the case in Nigeria. The executive arm of the government are now the lawmakers, are now the law adjudicators, are now everything about the country called Nigeria, which shouldn't be. We all knew that Mr. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has been in the custody of the executive arm of the government in Nigeria, not in the hands of the judiciary or in the hands of the legislature. The executive said themselves that they will never, ever in their life release someone whom the judiciary has set free. And now, that begins to quell rumor about Nigerian judicial system. Do we have independence of the judiciary? And the answer, I give it to you, no. If the judiciary is independent, why would the executive arm of the government be a body to rule over what the independent arm of the government, the judiciary, has overruled? Why will it be the dictator himself who dictates who to sit in a court on every Nnamdi Kanu court case?
Can I just bring in a point of direction?
Yeah.
I know you are making a very great point where you are going, but right now we are looking at Nnamdi Kanu has been denied justice in the appeal court. His appeal for release, for bail, which was granted to him earlier, has been nullified in the appeal court. So, and a member of my panel here said that it is right for the IPOB to proceed to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, I'm coming. I have to dissect it before I give you my round-off point.
Okay, so
I have to dissect
put that in focus.
Yeah, I have it in focus already.
Okay.
I have to dissect everything for you to know where we are heading to and where Nigeria has already been right now.
Okay.
We are looking at the situations of the judiciary in Nigeria. And from every perspective, Nigerian judiciary has never done anything well concerning the citizens of Nigeria. Not only Nnamdi Kanu. We have Nnamdi Kanu there. We also have Dasuki there. We also have this young man, Kayode Femi there, which they should receive fair judgment. And the dictatorship of the executive arm of the government has made the powers of the judiciary to be nothing to be right home about. Right now, going to the Supreme Court, that is the last resort of the case. It's advisable to go to the Supreme Court for the final trial and the final verdict. But I want us to know that any man who married a wife and gave birth to a son, that son whom he has given birth to is subject to him. And whatever he dictates in his house, the son must follow. Your wife, your son, and yourself are in the same room. You live in the same room, you live under the same roof. So whatever you have dictated, that it should be. If the Supreme Court will now be a different body altogether, it's only when our leader Nnamdi Kanu must have appeared or his case must have taken to the Supreme Court. That's when we will know if the Supreme Court is as sane as the customary. No, yes, because the customary court did a very wonderful ruling. But when we came to High Court begins to mesmerize everything, and they were dancing in the toll of the dictatorship. So my personal opinion and my humble opinion, I suggest that the case should be taken to the Supreme Court. And after the Supreme Court ruling, then the whole world will know what Nigerian government is all about, if there is any independence of any arm of the government. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, in other words, you as well concur to the IPOB taking the matter a bit further, right? Good. So, at this point, we are really getting somewhere, because I see that the majority of the members of this panel favor going to the Supreme Court for us to see further if the decadence in the Nigerian judiciary is everywhere. So right now I'm coming to you, Mr. Basil Oba. You have had the opinion of two of our members of the panel. They favor going to the appeal court. But now the appeal court is also under the same government of the dictator. So do you think we are going to expect something different from the appeal court? From the Supreme Court, please. I made a mistake.
Actually, thank you, moderator. The world now know that Nigerian judiciary is a big mess. The world now also know that the president of Nigeria, Muhammad Buhari, is a dictator. This dictator, Muhammad Buhari, is dictating what will happen in Nigerian judiciary. And on that note, they are denying people their justice. So, the leader of indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, everybody knows that the judiciary of Nigeria first time gave him justice by by releasing him unconditionally, by ordering the security agents in Nigeria to release him unconditionally.
The DSS.
The DSS. But the DSS and the executive arm of government, which is Muhammad Buhari, refused to release him. Then we go to the appeal court. Now the appeal court, because that the president of Nigeria is there as a dictator, has also dictated what will happen in appeal. That is why the appeal denied him ruling this time. Therefore, the people of Biafra, we don't have any confidence in Nigerian judiciary. As the Council of Nnamdi Kanu has already said it, that Nnamdi Kanu cannot get any justice in Nigerian judiciary, that we better go to the ECOWAS. However, we will follow the procedure, but we are saying that we are going to the Supreme Court to see whether we can get justice from Nigerian judiciary. Thank you, moderator.
Thank you so much, Mr. Basil Amade. You really made the point straight that it is obvious that the Nigerian judiciary is under the cloak of the dictator, Muhammad Buhari, who dictates what happens at the court. And that it could be very much advisable for Biafra to go to the Supreme Court in order to look for justice. The reason why we are doing this is because we obey the rule of law. Biafrans obey the rule of law. So we will not go contrary to what the law says, but we are waiting and the world is watching. So this time around, I'm going to my able panelist here, Mr. Samuel Nnamani, to aid his view in the present impasse between the indigenous people of Biafra leader Nnamdi Kanu and in the Nigerian judiciary. Do you think that it is a wise thing to do for us to see proceed to the Supreme Court?
Well, Mr. Moderator, we, or indigenous people of Biafra, going to Supreme Court is just to fulfill all righteousness.
Thank you. Thank you.
And to tell the world that indigenous people of Biafra are law-abiding. But I can categorically tell you here that we will not get justice in Supreme Court. Remember, in our previous program, I made it clear that Nigeria judiciary system is in total mess. In Nigeria, only the criminals get justice in court, while the innocent get convicted. Now, in every part of the world, court or judiciary court is the common hope, or is the hope of a common man, But in Nigeria, court is the hope of criminals. Why the innocent get no justice? So we indigenous people of Biafra proceeding to Supreme Court is just to fulfill all righteousness and for the world to see that we are really law abiding. But I can tell you and I can tell the world that the leader of indigenous people of Biafra will not get justice in Supreme Court. Looking at how the case is playing. In every country of the world, the judicial system is independent.
Of course.
And that is how it ought to be in a democratic setting. But in Nigeria, this judicial system is not independent. It's being controlled by the executive arm of the government. Now I will still take us back in the media chat of the president. Remember from the magistrate court to the high court, the two courts said, this man is not guilty. Discharge him unconditionally. Now Buhari said, never. He's not going to release him. In other words, the judiciary is saying different thing from the law perspective. He is to be set free. But according to the dictator-in-chief, he himself said, no, it's not going to happen. In other words, he's going to appoint and they put whoever that he feels that is going to do his bidding in court. So for us going to Supreme Court is just to fulfill all righteousness. But I can tell you that the leader of indigenous people of Biafra is not going to get justice in Supreme Court.
Of Nigeria.
As far as Nigeria is concerned, we are not going to get justice. That is where I stand.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nnamdi, and your point is very, very clear.
Thank you.
You have made a very vital point that our going to the Supreme Court is just to fulfill all righteousness, and not that
we are not going there to get
Nnamdi
justice.
Kanu is going to get justice. So, at this point, we are going to go on a short break. When we come back, we now look at the actual tricks being played in the Nigerian judiciary to deny Nnamdi Kanu justice. Keep on watching. Welcome back, viewers, to Biafra Watchdog, coming to you from Biafra Television here in Malaysia. This is the panel treating the judiciary mismanagement of Nnamdi Kanu's case, part 2. So now we have heard, and the panel have maintained that the indigenous people of Biafra going to the Supreme Court is just to fulfill all righteousness, because we know that the dictator-in-chief, Muhammadu Buhari, has pocketed the Nigerian judiciary as well as the legislature. But we will get to the Supreme Court and see how everything unfolds. Now, we have seen that going to the Supreme Court is just a mere waste of time, as propounded by my panelists here. And I also see with them, because if you look at the situation and what happened before the ruling, you will find out that there is conspiracy going on. How could the appeal court inform the defendant's lawyers very, very late on 24th night that a ruling is going to take place on the 25th morning? What has been happening all the days? Why did they have to give them a short notice? Is that also part of Nigerian constitution, that the appeal court is going to give the counsels to a case standing before it short notice, that a judgment is going to take place the following in the few hours time? That is also to show you how much decayed the Nigerian judiciary has become, and how much conspiracy is going on in the Nigerian judiciary, especially against the leader of indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu. So I'm coming to you now, Kanu. How do you view Biafrans going to the Supreme Court in this case? What do you really think will happen?
To try to expatiate more on this issue, we have to look back at what Nigerian system as a whole used to be, what it used to look like. Because before the emergence of the indigenous people of Biafra as a movement, seeking for the sovereignty and the restoration of the sovereign state of Biafra. You will understand that in Nigeria, there has never been anything like judicial system. You have judiciary in theory, but in practicals, you don't have judiciary, because you can, if you go to Nigerian police stations right now, you will see a lot of people who basically have not committed any known crime, but they are left to suffer in the Nigerian cells for many months. If you go to the prison, you also see people who are under awaiting trial for years. So what I'm trying to say is this. I strongly believe and support that the indigenous people of Biafra, our leader Nnamdi Kanu, and the legal team, we must proceed to the Supreme Court. Why we are going there is not that we are going there or we have the intention that we are going to have justice out there. No, we are going there in order to expose the Nigerian system, in order to expose the Nigerian judicial system.
The corrupt practices
the
going
corrupt
on.
Practices and the deteriorating nature of the Nigerian system, which the judiciary is at the forefront of this deterioration, because the executive arm of government has pocketed, they have insulated the judiciary, they have insulated the legislative arm of government. There is no law being made in Nigeria. There is no law being interpreted in Nigeria. Everything is upside down. So the indigenous people of Biafra must proceed to the Supreme Court and show to the world that there is no law in this place. This is a lawless society of which it was fraudulently concocted by the British, and
everything going on there is corruption.
Is corrupt and fraudulent. So that contraption must be dismembered. It must. All the people of goodwill around the world should focus their attention on what is going on in Nigeria, so that the judiciary will be put to shame, exposed, and thereby Nigeria being dismembered for the indigenous people that own the land to live in peace and in equity. That is my point.
Thank you very, very much. And I strongly believe that this is what is going to lead to. The Nigerian system is so decayed, is so corrupt, that the only solution to it is dismemberment. And the original owners of the land emerging as the owners of the land, which the indigenous people of Biafra is one. So, what is your opinion too, Mr. Osorobi, of IPOB going to the Supreme Court?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator Iketubo. It is obvious that when you are talking about justice in Nigeria, you are talking about a decayed system of government. When you are talking about justice in Nigeria, you are talking about a rickety car in Nigeria that ought not to be operated on a road. When you are talking about justice in Nigeria, you are talking about a dilapidated institution that needs revampment. Why am I giving you these instances? You remember that they gave the notice in a short while before the ruling in the whole Court of Appeal in Nigeria that has to be a very serious body in Nigeria before going to the Supreme Court. They just gave them a short notice. Why? Because they have been bought over. Now, as a normal person, even though you didn't attend any school, but you were born and brought up in that contraction called Nigeria, at least if you are given a notice of anything, at least you have to give them 48 hours for them to get prepared. Let's assume Nnamdi Kanu'S counsel they flew away to do some other businesses outside Nigeria. What they would have termed it is that they called for them for the ruling and they couldn't come. You remember the same way I tell you, there's no how you can get a frog and tomorrow you call it chicken. Frog is always frog and chicken is always chicken. The first time they sneaked our leader to court, they never gave any notice for him to even get a counsel. It was only by God's grace that somebody stood in for him. The DSS took him away. They wanted to do anything they want in the authority of the dictator, Muhammad Buhari. So going to the Supreme Court is nice. At least the whole world will be able to understand what the indigenous people of Biafra has been fighting for. Because in a country where the rights of the citizens are not protected, the properties of the citizens are not protected, what is the government for? The government is not only for the properties, the major factor for the government to be is for the lives of the indigenous and for the lives of the citizens of the very country. Now, the life of the citizens is at the expense of any other thing or every other thing else. What do you expect the country to be? Honestly, from my own perspective, going there to the Supreme Court is nice to see if the Supreme Court, as we said earlier before the case in the appeal court, in the appellate court, will also do the same thing. The judges of the High Court did, the judges of the appeal court did, and that is where we will finalize and give the whole world that Nigeria judicial system has been corrupt from day one, has been subject to Muhammad Buhari's instructions from the day he was elected. When Goodluck Jonathan was in power, nothing of that sort happened. Whenever a court gives a ruling, the president concurs to the rulings of the court. When Obasanjo, for instance, was there, I remember when Obasanjo wanted to make the third term bid, when he wanted to remain a life president of Nigeria. It was the judiciary who said no to it. It was the legislators who made the law and said, let's look into our law. We don't have something in our law. He wanted to make it as a law. And the legislators said no to this. And they brought it to the judiciary. The judiciary said, the laws you get me to watch over doesn't have something like that in it. And we don't have to give you that opportunity to make a law for you to remain a life president. And Obasanjo honorably concurred to it, and that was the end of the third term bid of Obasanjo. If Obasanjo was to be in the place of Buhari, he would have made it compulsory to be a life president, and nobody will talk about it. I am asking, are they not the same judges who were in that same body in the judiciary are still existing now in the same judiciary that are denying citizens of the country their rights, that are denying justice from the citizens, and that are denying everything law-abiding citizens right and equity in that very contraction called Nigeria? So to my own perspective, I am saying, let us go to the Supreme Court first, and finally, where we are expecting everything to end, and for the whole world to understand, is in this very ECOWAS that is going to hold, because ECOWAS doesn't believe in you being a member of it, and then you have to influence it. I don't believe that. And if that happens, meaning that the whole world, or the whole nations that made up ECOWAS, I think about 19 countries that made up ECOWAS, 18 that made up ECOWAS, we now look into it and say, you are my friend, yes, but we have to do what? Adjudicate the law. And have to do what? Make sure that the law stands. Because if one country derails, the rest of the country will be poisoned.
We go to ECOWAS court, not now. But I'm now taking you to my able panelist here, Mr. Samuel Nnamdi, to also put his views across for our viewers to really express himself. What do you think the outcome of our going to the Supreme Court will look like?
Like I said before when I made my speech, I said that we going to Supreme Court is just to fulfill all righteousness. Because, like I said before, the dictator in power, being the president, is the one determining what happened in court,
Okay.
and not the judicial system.
Right.
Now let us look at what played out in appeal court on 5th of May. When the case came up in court, the legal system, being the representative of Nigeria government, said to the judge that they should strike out the case,
Okay.
that they should not listen to the case of the leader of indigenous people of Biafra, that the case should be struck out for lack of merit. That they should allow John Toho, the corrupt John Toho, to continue. That was their argument. Now the judge did not give a ruling. What judge said, the appeal court judge said, okay, what will happen that he put the case pending. He said he put the case pending. That is going to notify the legal teams within 48 hours. Remember, within 48 hours, the day for the ruling on the case. That was what the judge, the appeal court said on 5th of May. Now, after 48 hours, no news from them. If you remember, even when the legal team of Nnamdi Kanu was interviewed, he was asked regarding when the Biafran Times and Biafran writers they approached him, trying to find out if the court have given a date for the ruling. No case was given, no date was given. Now, why the case? I can tell you why the judge, the appeal court, did not give that ruling, is because Muhammad Buhari was not in country. Was not in the country.
Yes.
He was to attend the program in
London.
In London. Remember that the London said the fantastically corrupt president who will be attending the program in London. So that's why the reason why the appeal court could not give any date. So the man, the judge, the corrupt judge himself, because I can tell you that the Nigerian judges are more corrupt than even the politicians. Because they are the one backing the politicians to be doing what they are doing. Because if he's still as a politician, the judge will be happy. If it's still 100 billion, the judge already know they have 10% of your notes. So because of that 10%, you are certain of getting justice. So the appeal court judge was waiting to get the order from the president, who controls the judicial system. Because it is the president who will determine the day of the court, what is going to happen. The appeal court cannot give ruling in his absence. So he waited to confirm from the president if what the legal team said is what he wants him to do. Because the legal team said, strike out the case, he has no merit. Now, the judge said, okay, put it pending, let me confirm from the president. If he concur with what the legal team said, we must, follow what. So now, after the fantastically corrupt president finished from the corrupt Britain, and now came back to the entity of Satan, the dwelling place of Satan. Because when we say Nigeria is a zoo, it's not just Nigeria is the dwelling place of Satan. Where no justice, there's no justice, there's no rule of law. Now, the president now came back to the country, and the Supreme Court found out this is what player they called to. Is this how you want it to go? The president said, okay, fix a day tomorrow and inform them. That was on 24th. And on 25th, they have to inform the representative of Nnamdi Kanu.
And I'll send my brother Aboki to be in the Dura. And Aboki came
to preside over
the case.
What the defense counsel said, what the prosecutor counsel said before is what I said. And that is how I want the ruling to happen. The Supreme Court already invited the legal team that the ruling will take place tomorrow. Getting tomorrow, I'm sorry, this case lack merit. Case strike out. That is it. You can see. So now, going to Supreme Court, the same thing is going to play out again. Now they already know that we are going to make use of every opportunity we have. So they already know that we are going to approach the Supreme Court, which to me is a mere waste of time. Because we are not going to get justice. It's still going to tell the Supreme Court what they are going to say and how the case is going to go. Now, going to Supreme Court, he will also look for another corrupt, fantastically corrupt judge who will also uphold the corrupt judgment of Supreme Court and of the appeal court for the corrupt John Toho to continue. You know, sometimes when we keep saying these men honorable, it pisses me off because they are not honorable. These are vultures with wig in the court.
I'm telling you, honestly.
Because there's nothing. Can you mention anything that suggests anything honorable attached to them? These men are vultures with wig in the court. They are more corrupt than the politicians. Look at what is happening. Okay, the judicial system, anybody that opposes the fantastically corrupt President Muhammad Buhari, he will send the FCC to arrest the person and take to the court. Watch all the people arrested. The reason why they have not arrested the government because of the power of the immunity covering him and the government.
Yes, sir.
If not, they would have gone after him.
Honestly.
That's exactly what happened. And then the court is the one even destroying that entity of Satan called Nigeria. Because if the dictatorship in power is destroying, the common hope, the court should be the common hope that we call him to order and restore a bit of hope or confidence that this is still a country. But I can tell you that it is even the court, the judges, they are very happy when this case comes up because every judge that will preside over this case is sure of billions, because they are not stealing in millions. No, they are sure of billions of dollars in his account. Because for you to do the bidding of the president, which they know that this is wrong. But because these men are not honorable, these men have destroyed the future of even the 10th generation to come.
And he's fighting corruption. He's fighting corruption.
Corruption cannot fight corruption.
That's what I'm saying. Why don't you fight the corruption in the judicial system?
Going to the court is just a
and you're fighting corruption.
Waste of time to fulfill all righteousness, because we are not going to get justice in Supreme Court. The only place I am looking forward to see if there is any hope to a black man or to a man in the African world is the ECOWAS Court, which Buhari has also made the step. You remember?
Yes, now.
He made the step earlier in that they should not listen to the case. They should not listen to the case. First, it was during the Dasuki. So no, don't listen to this case. Now the indigenous people of Biafra have approached the court again. They have also said no. Don't try the DSS, the DSS leader. Leave the court out of this. He is now trying to detect for ECOWAS court who to try and the case to look upon. Now, in a move to threaten the ECOWAS court, because most of the government, now you can see they are not saying they want to withdraw their support. What they are trying to do is to threaten the ECOWAS to influence their decision.
To muzzle them.
To muzzle them that when this case comes up, you must also do our bidding. If we don't do the bidding of the president of Nigeria, it means that Nigeria is going to withdraw their support from the ECOWAS state. You can see, the world can now see how corrupt, how decaying the Nigerian have. In fact, to me, that is not that evil forest called Nigeria. Shouldn't the only thing that will save if the world won't still regard the people living in that particular enclave if they still have any regard to people living, to the monkeys and baboons there, they should
disintegrate,
dissolve that dwelling place of Satan, because there is no more hope. The judiciary cannot save the common man, neither will it. The only people that get certain and get justice in court is the corrupt politicians, and the judges are more corrupt than even the politicians. So who is going to save the common man?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Samuel Nnamdi. You have really delved deep and deep and deep into this issue, and I hope our listeners are taking note, because the truth here now is that we all know that Nigeria is no country. Nigeria is never a country.
It's a dwelling place of Satan.
It's a contraption by the British and concocted under fraudulent means, which has been operating under fraud and all forms of injustice to the citizenry. At this point in time, I'm taking you to my able panelist here, Mr. Basil Oba, to also air his view on what he thinks about the Nigerian judiciary and our hope in going to the Supreme Court.
Thank you, moderator. Actually, if you look at everything that's been going on in Nigeria, especially Nigerian judiciary, you will understand that the executive arm of government, which is Muhammad Buhari, has killed democracy, the principles of democracy in Nigeria, by dictating the judiciary. The whole world knows that our leader, Nnamdi Kanu'S, made it clear before that he doesn't have confidence in Nigerian judiciary, especially in Honorable Justice John Soho. But remember, before Honorable Justice John Soho came, Nigerian government was hunting for a criminal judge. I said it before. So I am saying here that Honorable Justice John Soho was employed for a particular agenda, and the agenda is to jail Nnamdi Kanu'S guilty or not. So right now, you can see that even the appellate court which is struck out this Nnamdi Kanu'S case, saying that it doesn't, it lacks merit. You understand that it had been dictated. The president of Nigeria also dictated the appellate court, the court of appeal. Therefore, the world must understand. The world must understand that we don't have any more confidence in Nigerian judiciary. But I am using this platform, urging the whole world to tell the Nigerian judiciary to allow Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of indigenous people who committed no crime, to be free. If you look at the whole thing again, you understand that even the council of Nnamdi Kanu'S council already said it, that we don't have confidence in Nigerian judiciary, that he doesn't think that Nnamdi Kanu will get justice in Nigerian judiciary. Therefore, I believe that the only place we can get justice is in ECOWAS. Or let Britain repatriate Nnamdi Kanu, their citizen, back to United Kingdom and charge him in their court, so that he will get free, he will get justice and be free. We don't believe that self-determination or the self-determination is a crime. The Nigerian judiciary was to respect Nnamdi Kanu's human right. His human rights have been violated. So going to Supreme Court is just a waste of time. We don't believe that Supreme Court will give Nnamdi Kanu justice, because the president of Nigeria will also dictate what will happen in the Supreme Court. Therefore, my suggestion to the leaders of indigenous people of Biafra is to focus on ECOWAS, or to repatriate the leader of indigenous people of Biafra back to the United Kingdom, where he can get justice. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Basiroba. You made a very vital point, and this brings me to start thinking and start imagining why it is difficult for the judiciary to stand on justice.
The why it's difficult is because they are corrupt.
So
when you are bribed, when you collected money, you don't have any right to say something again, because they have already bought your speech and bought you over. So the reason why they cannot act, because they are corrupt. They have been bribed to do the bidding of the executive arm of the government. That is why
this means that there is no more justice in Nigeria.
No more justice. There's no justice. A few days ago, the Minister of Petroleum, who said that the Niger Delta Avengers are doing worse in their pipelines. They are called pipeline vandals, as they so-called. These people told you, these so-called Niger Delta Avengers, they told you, we need justice, we need equity. This is what we want. And you know, Nigerian government, they found it difficult to give these people those little things they want. But they were able to go into their purse, Nigeria that has no money, to dish out $10 million to bribe some individuals, so that these young men will stop, for them to continue.
Stop fighting for their freedom.
Yes, stop fighting for their freedom, to continue digging in that same contract called Nigeria, sucking everybody dry. Can you tell me justice in this? If you are able to dish out such amount of money to
$10 million
to bribe somebody, only to bribe someone, how much more what they need? Are you telling me that their right will be sold for this money? The same way you did it to their great-grandfathers? No. The young men said no. And they gave you letters, they gave you ultimatum, and they told you everything they would do, and they keep doing it. Even though the Nigerian government thought that you can buy them with money, you can buy anything with money. You can buy the judiciary with money, yes, understood. You can buy the legislators with money, yes, understood. But you cannot buy the freedom of a common man with money. You cannot buy the freedom of indigenous people of Biafra with common money. You cannot buy, the freedom of the Niger Delta people with common money. You cannot buy them. You can give them a change. Whatever I'm telling Nigeria, whatever you give to them today, if I should be in their shoes, I will say thank you. This is the change you are given to me, and I'll keep on doing what I'm doing until you concur to what I have demanded. And what I have demanded is stipulated in the law, of law, and everything must be done. Nothing else will ever give them justice if not for them to abide by those things which they have listed for them to do. So now, that's why you have to find out that the so-called contraption, Nigeria, in quote, has nothing to do with justice. They hate justice, and that is where, according to my co-panelist, he said that is the dwelling place of the demon, the dwelling place of devil. How can you dish out such amount of money to bribe somebody when there are problems you can solve? How much does the refinery take to build?
Let me help you. For you to know how corrupt they are not looking at the condition given by these people. What they are trying to do, a government coming out openly to bribe people.
To bribe people, government.
And you say you are fighting corruption.
Okay.
It's bribery, not corruption.
Bribery. You can bring some money to bribe them to stop what they are doing, and you cannot give them that which they want. So, which one do you expect, or who do you expect to come up and say, oh, this government is performing very well? Even the common man on the street has now known the in and out of Nigerian government. They live on bribery. Yet, APC government said they came into power to fight, what they call it, corruption.
Corruption cannot fight
And then
corruption.
these same corrupt leaders, fantastically corrupt leaders, are not fighting corruption legally. Rather, they put into the purse or into the treasury of Nigeria the same way the so-called IBB that hand into the treasury of Nigeria to give to ICC to register Nigeria as Islamic nation. That same way, this same man has come to make what is IBB registered in ICC to materialize and to come to effectiveness. Right now, they are working on what is called bribery, seek and hide policy, which will never do them any good. The more they bribe, the more the economy of Nigeria falls, and the more the men and Nigerian data Avengers do their thing, and the more they seek for justice, and the more they are sick and tired of their
justice
government.
they must get.
They must get justice in that very country.
The reason why these guys are doing this is because they cannot get justice in court.
Exactly.
Now they have to get justice by any means.
By any means. They could find justice by enemies, and that's why they are
trying to bribe them.
Okay, now let us really bring everything that we are discussing into perspective of the corrupt situation obtainable in the Nigerian judiciary. Now we have been able to expose the Nigerian judiciary to the entire world, to show how corrupt the judges are, and also to prove to the entire world that we don't have judiciary in Nigeria, there is no justice in Nigeria. What we have is a dictatorial government whereby Muhammadu Buhari determines who gets justice in the court. As long as that person comes out to say that this is the truth, Buhari doesn't want to hear it, then what happens is he starts to fight the person with his EFCC. If he doesn't get you with his EFCC, he gets you through his DSS. If he doesn't get you with his DSS, he gets you through the judiciary. And it continues. And he said he is fighting corruption. So I have been able to listen to every point made by my panelists here today, and I see that they are making a very serious point, because how can a judge vary his own judgment without an appeal from the prosecution, and an appeal court upheld that it is the right thing to do? Is that what the Nigerian Constitution says? That a judge will pass a judgment and come back the next day and vary their judgment without anybody saying, I don't agree with what you have.
Mr. Moderator, sorry to come in here, but when I'm looking at this thing, I get more annoyed. Do you know that the Vice President of Nigeria is a professor of law? And the man who claims to be president don't even have a certificate. And even threat is determining or is telling a professor how law of the country should be obeyed. It is
That is
and the people that come that they are judges are watching this
Nigeria
and dancing to the tune of
you don't even need to argue this. It is
this
the same professor who went to Asarok, the chaplaincy as a Christian, as a pastor, second in command to a church, a renowned church known as Redeemed Christian Church of Christ in Nigeria. He is a renowned pastor, made the vice president
and the professor of law.
And the professor of law. He came to Asarok, and his own chaplaincy was used for a parking stop, and he kept silent. And when the pressure came on him, he went to the church and said he's resigning when he's dropping, oh, you cannot continue with the pastoral job as a pastor. Now he is resigning for some other person to take the place of him in pastoral job, so that he will be able to carry out the duties of his
into his resignation. Not because he cannot carry out the work, because he has tested corruption. I don't know how to qualify it.
I quite appreciate this. The corruption everything is doing. That shows to you that if you are, I am not surprised, because formerly United States of America used to be a place of security for people, for justice. But on getting to Nigeria, United States of America got corrupt.
Honestly,
the corruption that is bedeviling Nigeria today is being supported from America. Obama is the architect of Buhari getting into power.
yes.
A whole United States of America.
Moderator, do you know the most annoying part of it?
It is unbelievable.
The Cameron said before the Queen 3 days ago that Nigeria is fantastically corrupt, which they know, but the same Britain is the one supporting them. All
the money looted from Nigeria is in Britain.
So I can tell you that even Britain is more even corrupt than even the Nigeria, because when you support corruption, you also corrupt. He said before the Queen, not knowing that there was a record that Nigeria is fantastically corrupt. They know very well. Then why then
You support fantastically corrupt country
of Nigeria, which you know is
Why don't you bring out justice where justice is needed?
So as you can see, our keen observers and listeners, you can see that we have been able to let the world know that the corruption obtainable in Nigeria is more than what a country can take. Nigeria is so corrupt that the judges find corruption so pleasing that if you are not a corrupt judge in Nigeria, then you are not part of the judicial system. Because I don't see any reason why an appeal court is going to uphold a cause of injustice to go on in a country. Now, the leader of indigenous people of Biafra is a freedom fighter. A freedom fighter that applies the rule of law. We are approaching our freedom fight through the laid down rules of the United Nations, laid down rule of the African Union, laid down rule of Nigerian Constitution. And Nigeria is holding him and denying him bail on the basis that his case is so serious. What is serious about somebody demanding for his freedom?
Okay.
And that is the reason why you are denying him bail.
Okay.
So the people that are killing people are walking free in the street.
So I find it difficult. I find it difficult to see why the entire world is keeping quiet. Everybody is just observing what is going on in Nigeria, as the judiciary is ravaging the freedom of the people of Nigeria, and that judiciary is supposed to be the hope of every citizen of this country. When you are being suppressed, you approach the law. You approach the law court for justice. But as it stands now, there is no hope for every common man in Nigeria to get justice. Of course, you all are aware that the indigenous people of Biafra has approached the ECOWAS court for their human rights violations, indicting Muhammad Buhari and his DSS and the police commissioner, and as well as the army chief. But we can as well see the arm twisting going on, whereby the Nigerian government is threatening to withdraw their support to the ECOWAS court on the basis that they are trying to take care of the case of Nnamdi Kanu'S, which he has applied to them to look into the human rights violations and the claims as I put forward. Well, at this point in time, our viewers, we would like to touch a little on the IPOB going to the ECOWAS court. From your perspective, Carlo Ago, do you think that ECOWAS could be bought over just as Buhari has been able to buy over the Nigerian judiciary? Do you think that could also take place, as you can see what is also happening right now?
Well, the ECOWAS court is a regional court that seek to litigate on issues concerning member states. And Nigeria is also a member of ECOWAS. And don't be surprised that the ECOWAS court is sitting in Abuja, the capital of Nigeria. Now, let us assume that ECOWAS court will live up to her responsibility, because there is what we call the United Nations Charter on the Rights of Indigenous People for Self-Determination, 2005. There is also the African Union Charter on the rights of the indigenous people for self-determination. And from these two concepts, I believe the indigenous people of Biafra have a clear, at least we believe from these conventions that we are going to get justice. Because if we couldn't get justice in Nigeria, the next line of action to be followed is ECOWAS court, of which we must approach ECOWAS court with the belief that we are going to get justice. That is my take on that aspect.
Thank you very much, Abu Kano. I believe that the ECOWAS court is also, as a regional court, like you said, is not subject to Nigerian judicial system, and they are independent of the Nigerian government, being owned by all member states in West Africa. So we look forward to getting a form of justice from the ECOWAS court. Now I come to you, Mr. Basiloba. Do you think that ECOWAS court can be influenced by Nigerian corrupt system?
I don't think so at all. ECOWAS court should not be influenced by Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari or anybody from Africa, because ECOWAS court is there to ensure peace and stability in their member states. ECOWAS court also there to ensure that someone's or somebody's human right is respected, that the rule of law prevails, and the peace in their member states. Therefore, ECOWAS court has they are honorable. This court is very honorable. Therefore, we don't believe that they can be influenced, no matter that they are sitting in Abuja. Muhammadu Buhari, who happens to be a dictator, cannot dictate what 18 countries together have decided.
A regional body.
Yes. So the president of Nigeria cannot influence it. But if ECOWAS court allow themselves to be used by the dictator sitting in Abuja, called himself Muhammadu Buhari, then the people of Biafra will never allow their leader, Nnamdi Kanu, who committed no crime, to be jailed. Because he is innocent. Okay? The people of Biafra will never accept it.
Never.
And I believe strongly that ECOWAS court, as far as they are there to maintain peace and stability in their member states, therefore they will make sure that there will be peace by allowing Nnamdi Kanu to enjoy his freedom because he committed no crime. We believe, and everybody believes, that ECOWAS court will deliver. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Amade. You made a very good point that ECOWAS is honorable. So let's hold it there, that ECOWAS is honorable. We believe that they are going to deliver, just like you said. So, Mr. Osorobi, in a very short comment, do you think that the arm twisting going on now from Abuja to the ECOWAS court will have any influence on their actions and inactions towards the case before them?
I don't think so, because ECOWAS is not just like Nigeria. Muhammadu Buhari can only influence 2 or 3 countries of the ECOWAS nations, but he cannot influence the entire body of ECOWAS. And this is where you will know the functions of those who believe in real justice and the functions of those who believe in bribery and corruption. Now, ECOWAS cannot just be Nigerian judicial system at all. If ECOWAS stood so low to be like the Nigerian judicial system, automatically the whole of Africa is gone. The whole of Africa, the entire Africa is gone. And everyone is going to his deepest grave by following anything stipulated by the so-called Nigerian government that will influence ECOWAS court. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Mr. Osorobi. And you made me think of something very, very peculiar to Nigeria. It seems that the only thing Nigeria exports, if not crude oil, is corruption.
Corruption.
So I am thinking if Nigeria is going to export their corruption to influence other West African countries. So I'm coming to you now, Mr. Nnamdi, in a very short and brief comment. Do you think that Abuja will be able to really influence ECOWAS in their case of Nnamdi Kanu?
Like you rightly said, Nigerians export corruption. And they corrupt anything they come in contact with. But I will give the ECOWAS court the benefit of that.
Okay.
But I can assure you that Nigeria is capable of doing anything. If Nigeria can come out openly to bribe freedom fighters of Niger Delta's Avengers with $10 million, I can tell you they are ready to pay $100 million to each judges because they export corruption.
Exactly.
And they know in Africa anything is obtainable. But I will give them the benefit of that because they are the only hope that any member state have now. If they allow themselves to be used like the Nigeria corrupt system of the Nigeria corrupt judiciary, then it means that blacklist is finished. Nigeria corrupt anything they come in contact with.
Honestly.
And then I can tell you that moves are being made every second of the day to see how they can influence that ECOWAS court. But I still believe that the men there are still honorable and they are going to do honorable things by not allowing themselves to be corrupt or used by the Nigerian judicial system. So I will give them that benefit of that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nnamdi. We have talked so much today on the judiciary and the decadence in them and also touched on ECOWAS court. Our viewers, I think we'll be drawing the curtain here today. And when we come back, we still have other matters affecting the Nigerian system that we are going to treat. Thank you so very much, my honorable panelists.
Thank you. Welcome.
So I thank you, Mr. Basil Amadi, for coming today in today's program. You are welcome. And Mr. Kano Abu, you are welcome in today's program. You made a wonderful contribution. Mr. Osorobi,
thank you.
Thank you so very much for this program today. And Mr. Nnamdi, you are so wonderful in today's program. Yes.
It was a pleasure.
And this is Ike Chukwumorisa at this point in time, returning you back to our studio in London.
Mr. Pro, I'm doing it.
Mokro on the beat.
Listen, I can see my baby by your side. I can see my people in rivers. I also see my people in downtown. Cross River and